A year ago, the Bosch 500 series was $1,800. Right now, it's under $1,100, and it's not the only one. Several well-known refrigerators are dropping in price fast. Some because they deserve it, others because new models just push them aside. I went through the deals and ranked 8 of them from least compelling to strongest value, so you know exactly which price drops are worth your money. Number 8. Whirlpool 4-door French door refrigerator. Whirlpool has been cutting prices on their 4-door French door lineup more aggressively than any other legacy brand this year. Models that sat comfortably above $1,200 throughout 2025 are now showing up well under $1,000 at major retailers. The reason behind the discounts is not mysterious. Whirlpool is losing floor space to hungrier competitors, and price reduction is the fastest way to stay visible. The basic appeal still holds. Whirlpool is a name most households recognize. 4-door configuration offers reasonable internal organization. The fresh food compartment is spacious. The freezer drawer works well for families, and for straightforward cooling, these units perform adequately at their reduced cost. Where the concerns begin is in the details that surface after several months of daily use. Build quality on recent Whirlpool models has declined noticeably. Shelving feels less substantial than it did 5 or 6 years ago. Plastic drawer tracks wear faster than expected, and the door seals on some units lose their firmness earlier than they should. Defrost systems occasionally malfunction, creating frost buildup in compartments advertised as frost-free. Water dispensers have a pattern of leaking or failing within the first 18 months. Temperature consistency sits in an uncomfortable gray area. It is not dangerously unreliable, but enough owners report uneven cooling across zones that it warrants attention. Produce freezing in the crisper while enceinte dairy runs warm on the top shelf is a frustration that adds up over time. The compressor itself is adequate, but it runs louder than comparable units from brands further up this list. And in open-concept kitchens, that noise becomes part of your daily background. Parts availability is decent given Whirlpool's large service network, which is a genuine advantage if something does go wrong. Finding a qualified technician is easier with Whirlpool than with many imported brands. And that counts for something when your freezer stops holding temperature on a Thursday night. At its new price point, this Whirlpool makes sense for buyers who need a functional refrigerator and plan to pair it with a retailer that offers a strong return window. It is not the unit to rely on for quiet, decade-long service. But if your expectations match the reduced cost, the value is fair. The next refrigerator on this list saw even steeper price cuts, but for entirely different reasons. Number 7. Samsung. Bespoke 4-door Flex. Samsung flooded the market with bespoke models over the past 2 years, and that overexposure is now working against them. Retailers are sitting on excess inventory, and the discounts reflect that urgency. Units that carried price tags above $2,000 in mid-2025 are now available for several hundred less, and promotional periods push them lower still. The bespoke line has genuine strengths. The customizable panel system lets buyers match the exterior to their kitchen. The internal layout is flexible, with a convertible zone that can switch between fridge and freezer temperatures depending on your needs. Samsung's cooling technology delivers solid temperature control across compartments, and the overall design makes a strong first impression. But the ownership experience tells a more complicated story. Samsung refrigerators, including the bespoke line, carry a persistent reputation for ice maker problems. Freezing, jamming, and water leaking into areas where it should not be are complaints that appear consistently across owner reviews and repair technician forums. The touchscreen interface on higher-end models occasionally becomes unresponsive, and software updates have been known to introduce new glitches rather than resolve existing ones. Service is another sticking point. When a Samsung refrigerator needs repair, parts availability can be inconsistent, and scheduling authorized service in some regions means waiting weeks while your food sits in coolers. For a brand that charges premium prices, the post-purchase support does not always match the showroom promise. The family hub models with the large touchscreen panels are particularly vulnerable to this gap. The screens look impressive in the store, but they add complexity and cost to an appliance whose primary job is keeping food cold. Samsung's Bespoke, at its new, lower price, becomes more interesting for buyers who value design flexibility and can tolerate the risk of an ice maker service call down the road. For anyone who prioritizes trouble-free ownership, the discount alone does not resolve the underlying concerns. The next entry dropped in price for a reason that has more to do with corporate strategy than product failure. Number 6. GE Profile. French door refrigerator. GE Profile has been discounting its French door lineup with increasing frequency in 2026. The price reductions are part of a broader push by Haier, which owns GE Appliances, to grow market share through volume rather than margin. That strategy benefits the buyer in the short term because it puts a well-featured refrigerator within reach of budgets that previously could not touch it. The GE Profile line offers thoughtful interior design. The door bins are wide enough for gallon containers, the shelving adjusts easily, and the fingerprint-resistant finish holds up well in households with children. The hands-free autofill water dispenser is one of the more genuinely useful convenience features available on any refrigerator at this price level. For day-to-day usability, GE Profile delivers a polished experience. The uncertainty sits beneath the surface. Since Haier's acquisition, long-term reliability data on GE refrigerators has become harder to predict. Some model years perform well for 5 or 6 years without incident. Others develop control board failures, compressor issues, or ice maker malfunctions within the first 3 years. The inconsistency makes it difficult to generalize, which is precisely the kind of risk that keeps careful buyers hesitant. Repair costs on GE Profile models tend to run higher than average. When the control board fails, the replacement is expensive, and the labor adds up quickly. Authorized service centers stay busy, meaning wait times can stretch longer than you would expect from a brand with nationwide distribution. At its discounted price, the GE Profile French door is a reasonable choice for someone willing to pair it with an extended warranty from a retailer like Costco. Without that safety net, the unpredictable reliability makes it a calculated risk rather than a confident purchase. If you find this kind of information useful for making better decisions, subscribing is the simplest way to keep it coming. Number 5. LG InstaView Door-in-Door. French door. LG's InstaView models are dropping in price for the cleanest reason on this list. New 2026 models are arriving at retailers, and the prior generation needs to move. That means the 2025 InstaView lineup is seeing genuine markdowns, not because anything is wrong with them, but because shelf space has an expiration date. The InstaView feature itself is more practical than it sounds. The glass panel on the door lights up when you knock, letting you see inside without opening the door. Over the course of a year, that small habit reduces cold air loss and keeps the compressor from working harder than necessary. The door-in-door compartment provides quick access to items you reach for frequently, which is a convenience that becomes hard to give up once you are used to it. LG's cooling performance on these models is strong. Temperature regulation is consistent. The crisper drawers maintain humidity well, and the freezer compartment holds steady without the frost buildup that plagues cheaper units. The interior layout is well thought out, with flexible shelving and enough space to handle a full weekly grocery run for a family. The concern that follows LG refrigerators into any conversation is the compressor. LG faced a class action over premature linear compressor failures. And while the company extended warranties and made engineering changes, that history has not been entirely forgotten. Recent models show improvement, but the reputation lingers and some buyers remain cautious. The smart features work as advertised when the Wi-Fi connection holds, but the app integration occasionally drops signal or requires a reset. These are minor annoyances rather than deal breakers, but they are worth noting for anyone who plans to rely on remote temperature monitoring. At its clearance price, the LG InstaView represents one of the better opportunities on this list. The cooling performance is strong, the build quality is above average, and the price reduction is driven by timing rather than defects. Buyers who are comfortable with LG's compressor warranty coverage will find real value here. The next refrigerator on the list comes from a brand that rarely gets attention, which is part of what makes its price drop so noteworthy. Number 4. Frigidaire Gallery 4-Door French Door. Frigidaire Gallery has been quietly reducing prices on their 4-door configuration throughout 2026, and the result is a refrigerator that now sits in a price range well below what its feature set suggests. This is not a fire sale driven by defects. Frigidaire is repositioning the Gallery line to compete more directly with the mid-range offerings from LG and Samsung, and aggressive pricing is part of that effort. The Gallery 4-door layout offers something that many competitors at this price still do not: a dedicated convertible drawer between the fresh food section and the freezer that can be set to 5 different temperature zones. Whether you need extra fridge space before a holiday meal, a dedicated zone for beverages, or a soft freeze for meats, that flexibility makes a practical difference in how the refrigerator fits your routines. The cooling system performs reliably in most configurations. Temperature holds steady across compartments, and the freezer does not develop the frost issues that some cheaper Frigidaire models have been known for. The interior finish is clean and functional, with adjustable shelving that actually adjusts without a fight. Where Frigidaire Gallery asks for patience is in the electronics. Some owners report that the control panel becomes sluggish over time, and Ice Maker, reliability, while improved from earlier generations, still trails behind what brands like Bosch deliver. Occasional board failures have been documented in the first 3 years of ownership, which is concerning for an appliance in this price class. The build quality is adequate but not exceptional. Door bins feel slightly less robust than what you would find on a KitchenAid or Bosch at a similar size, and the exterior finish shows fingerprints more readily than competitors with treated stainless steel coatings. The noise level sits in the middle of the range. It is not distractingly loud, but in a quiet kitchen, you will notice the compressor cycling more readily than with the top 2 entries on this list. For most households, this is background noise that fades after the first week. For buyers sensitive to appliance sound, it is worth hearing in person before committing. Still, at its current price, the Frigidaire Gallery 4-door offers more usable features per dollar than most refrigerators in this range. For buyers who value layout flexibility and can accept minor trade-offs in build material, this is a genuinely smart purchase. What separates the next few entries from everything below them is not just lower prices, but noticeably higher build standards. Number 3. KitchenAid Counter Depth French Door. KitchenAid has historically priced its refrigerators firmly in the premium tier, which made them easy to admire but difficult to justify for anyone watching their budget. In 2026, that positioning has shifted. New competitive pressure from Bosch and LG has pushed KitchenAid to reduce pricing on several counter-depth French door models, placing them closer to the upper mid-range than true premium territory. The build quality is where KitchenAid continues to separate itself. Doors feel solid, hinges operate smoothly, shelving is sturdier than nearly anything in the mid-range category, with glass surfaces that hold heavy items without flexing. The exterior finish resists fingerprints and scratches better than most competitors, which matters more than people realize after a year of daily use. The interior lighting is bright and even, making it easy to see everything without rearranging. Cooling performance is consistent and reliable. The temperature regulation across fresh food and freezer compartments stays tight without the warm spots or crisper freezing that frustrate owners of less carefully engineered units. The compressor runs quietly, and the overall noise level is low enough that open-concept kitchens benefit noticeably. Produce lasts longer, dairy stays at the right temperature, and the freezer holds steady without cycling issues. KitchenAid's counter-depth design means the refrigerator sits flush with standard cabinetry, giving the kitchen a cleaner, more integrated appearance. This used to come at a steep premium, but the 2026 price adjustments have brought it within range of what many buyers already spend on standard depth at KitchenAid. Competitors that stick out several inches further. The limitation is in smart features. KitchenAid does not offer the app integration or connected features that Samsung and LG market aggressively. For buyers who want remote monitoring or voice control, this will feel like a gap. For anyone who simply wants a well-built refrigerator that keeps food cold and lasts for years, the absence of those extras may actually be a relief. At its new pricing, KitchenAid delivers premium construction without the premium tax, and that combination is rare. The next entry takes that same philosophy even further. Number 2. Bosch 500 Series French Door. Bosch has been gradually adjusting its pricing strategy in the North American market, and the 500 Series French Door is the clearest beneficiary. Once positioned as a European import with a price tag to match, this model has come down enough in 2026 to compete directly with upper mid-range offerings from domestic brands. The engineering, however, has not come down with it. The first thing owners notice about a Bosch is what they do not hear. These refrigerators are among the quietest on the market. The compressor and fan assembly are engineered to minimize vibration and noise, which makes a meaningful difference in open kitchen layouts where the refrigerator is never more than a few steps from the living space. Temperature precision is where Bosch earns its reputation. The cooling system maintains consistent temperatures across all compartments without the fluctuation that triggers premature spoilage in less disciplined units. Produce stays crisp longer. Dairy holds at safe temperatures without drifting. The freezer does not cycle between too cold and not cold enough the way many mid-range competitors do. This consistency sounds small, but it adds up over years of ownership in reduced food waste and fewer unpleasant surprises. Build quality is immediately apparent. The doors have weight to them. Shelving is thicker and more rigid than what you find in most kitchens. Metal components appear where competitors use plastic, and the door seals maintain their tension far longer than average. The interior layout is practical and adjustable, designed around actual kitchen habits rather than showroom presentation. Bosch does not offer a touchscreen, a built-in camera, or an app that tells you when your milk is low. What it offers instead is a refrigerator that runs quietly, keeps food at the right temperature, and holds together without service calls for well over a decade. At its 2026 pricing, the 500 series is no longer a stretch for buyers who previously considered it out of reach. And the refrigerator that earns the top position on this list follows that same principle to its logical conclusion. Number 1. Maytag French Door Refrigerator. Maytag has never been the flashiest name in the kitchen. No touchscreens, no door-mounted cameras, no color customizable panels. What Maytag builds is a refrigerator that does its job without drama, and in 2026, they are doing it at the best price this lineup has ever reached. The price reduction is a result of Maytag's parent company repositioning the brand to capture buyers who are tired of paying for features they never use. That shift has brought the French door models down to a level that competes directly with mid-range units from brands that offer far less durability. The build quality stands out immediately. The doors are heavy and close with a reassuring firmness. The shelving holds weight without bowing. Drawer tracks glide smoothly and continue doing so years into ownership. The compressor is commercial grade in its construction, overbuilt for residential use, which means it runs cooler, lasts longer, and does not struggle during summer heat waves the way lighter-duty units do. Temperature regulation is where Maytag quietly outperforms most of the market. The fresh food compartment holds steady without warm spots. The freezer maintains proper temperature without frost accumulation. The crisper drawers keep humidity where it should be, extending the life of produce by noticeable margins compared to units that cost the same or more. The 10-year compressor warranty is not a promotional gimmick. It reflects genuine confidence in the component that matters most. When a manufacturer backs the heart of the machine for a full decade, it signals something about how that machine was engineered. There are trade-offs. The interface is simple, almost basic. There is no Wi-Fi connectivity, no voice assistant integration, and no smartphone app to check temperatures remotely. The design is clean, but not striking. If your kitchen is a showpiece, Maytag will not be the conversation starter that a Samsung bespoke might be. The ice maker, when included, works without fanfare, which is more than can be said for several brands higher on the price spectrum. The interior lighting is functional, rather than elegant, and the shelving layout prioritizes practicality over presentation. But for the buyer who measures a refrigerator by how long it keeps food cold without requiring a service call, Maytag at its 2026 price point is the strongest value on this list. It does fewer things, but it does the essential things better and for longer than nearly any competitor at this cost. Owners who have lived with a Maytag for 5 years or more consistently describe the same experience. It simply works, without surprises, without drama, and without unexpected repair bills. That is exactly what a smart purchase looks like. A lower price gets you through the door, but most refrigerator failures happen because of choices made inside the store, not outside it. The model you pick, the warranty you choose, and the retailer you trust all shape whether that discounted price stays a bargain or becomes an expensive lesson. That is exactly where the real decisions begin.